Here's the truth, guys. Everybody online is chasing scale, scale, scale. But what they won't tell you is scale without profits just equals stress. There's so many people who are building out large portfolios of investments and they're using maximum leverage, bringing on investor capital. Their margins are thin because there's so many people that they partnered with, so much they owe in debt to the lender, so many different moving parts to where they're not even making that much more money by scaling, and they're just betting on the appreciation of their portfolio, the appreciation of their company, and all of those things. So they're scaling and causing more stress, more work, but not actually making more money. And I want to talk about that today because I started to look at that, and my first notice in this was when I was investing in syndications and actually building relationships with general partners, who are the people who are putting the syndications together. Many of them are putting together large syndications, and when you start to take away the fees and all the people that they have on staff, so they're collecting fees and all that, but they have staff, they have members that they have to pay, they have to divvy it up between their partners. Then they have general contractors that they're paying. Then they have accounting teams, and then they have the fund manager. So they have all these pieces. So it's sexy for them to say, oh, I have a fund with $100 million assets under management. But I always want to ask them, what is your net margins that you are pocketing at the end of the day? Because what I can say from experience and seeing the P&L and balance sheets of some of these individuals is that a smaller shop, somebody who owns a small amount of properties with low leverage, just churning his own business, some of those type of individuals are actually making more money than people who are saying, I have $20 million assets under management. I have $100 million assets under management. So do not get misconstrued that to think big is always better. And I'm seeing that even within my lending company. So I started to really do the numbers. And if I just started to raise a ton of money, use only investor capital, I pay them a 10% return. If I do that and I go that model full-fledged, I will actually make less money than lending out my own capital, because the expense of their money, the management of it, the tax implications as far as accounting and everything that comes along with that, my overhead is going to be higher because I have to fund more deals. So with a portfolio where it's all only investor capital paying them 10%, I would need to raise 4 to 5x what I would need to lend out my own capital. So that doesn't mean I'm never going to use line of credit capital or I'm never going to use investor capital. I take on line of credits and investors, when the opportunity presents itself, and it's family and friends, people I want to build and do business with. But at the end of the day, I want to lend as much of my own money out within my business because I make the most money that way. So I can actually lend out less money, run a leaner operation, and make more, as opposed to lending out only other people money and needing to grow a much larger business. So once I started to see that, I started to translate it to all kinds of businesses. And even the most successful startup type companies, many of those people are not making much money until the sell. So if that's your business model and you're trying to grow a business and you're like, I don't care if I make any money now, I'm trying to bump up the multiple so I can sell for a 15x one day and then I'll make my pop in the end, that's a fine model. But you have to understand that you're only going to make the salary that your business can give you at the time, and that's it for however long that's the case. And you're not making any outside of that, and you're not growing. On the flip side of that, if you're investing in a cash flow business, the things that like Alex Hormozi talks about, Cody Sanchez talks about, now you put yourself in a position where your business is cash flowing and you're getting a salary, distributions along the way that's very profitable. So you can still build a business that's going to sell for a high multiple one day, but along the way it's cash flowing and you don't have to grow to some massive company to have great benefits. So I'm really chasing more income and cash flow than I am net asset value of how big the business is going to get. But through that, over time, that cash flow is going to grow, and I'm going to be able to invest in more and more and grow the business organically. So that's personally my strategy. I think it's a strategy that makes a lot of sense for people who are more lifestyle investors and business owners. I want to grow. I want to be very successful. I want to make a lot of money, and I'm not afraid to say and admit that. But within that, I'm not trying to grow so big to where I'm working 60 plus hours a week. I'm not able to spend any time with my family and kids and all of that. So that was a struggle that I faced, because do I believe I have the intellectual capacity to go and start a huge fund, to grow and raise a ton of money, to go and create something where I have hundreds of millions of dollars assets under management? Yes, I do believe I'm capable, but I do not believe it's the best use of my time and my energy and how I want to live my life. I'd rather build a leaner business that's actually cash flowing a lot more with less headache and grow its valuation over time slowly. And that's just my strategy. And I think a lot of people might be able to resonate out there. So I just want to give you the validation you need to know it's okay to build out a cash flowing business, real estate portfolio, investment portfolio, or what have you. It's not only possible, I think it's preferred for a lot of people. So I hope this adds a lot of value to you guys out there. Make sure you like, share, and let's continue to grow this channel. I'm going to continue to share insights of what's going on in my life professionally when it comes to my lending company, my investments, and growing wealth over time. So thank you guys for locking in.